This podcast is brought to you by Alaskan Ice Kent. Alaskan Ice Kent is a desserts company based in Chislehurst, and for their socials you can find them at AlaskanIce_Kent on Instagram. And their food is available on Just Eat and available for local delivery. It's a local company owned by a local person, so let's get behind them and support them.
What's going on, guys? How's your week been?
It's been good. It's been good, eventful, very busy, very busy.
Obviously now Boris is taking us out of, or he's taking us out of lockdown.
Yeah.
And obviously our episode came out a bit late. But for you guys, how has that been?
I think it's a breath of fresh air. It's like we finally got some kind of direction as to where we're going to go. So I think it's like we're not nearly at the end, but we're nearly at the end.
It's the trust issues over there.
But you don't. I'm kind of with Carl though. Is that
I don't believe nothing until I see it. Until we're doing it, I don't believe nothing. Because I remember the 5 days of Christmas. You remember that?
Yeah, you're not wrong still.
So do I.
You're not wrong.
So look, if it's true, great. I can't wait to get back to work. I can't wait to get back to football. I genuinely can't wait.
There was that you can't wait to get back to work.
It's mad, isn't it? But on a serious note, until it's all there and it's actually in motion, I don't think I can believe it. And call me a pessimist as much as you want. I've got to be a little bit honest about how I feel about it. And yes, there's a map now. And the reason we was all a little bit taken back the third lockdown, we didn't really see a clear line of when we're meant to potentially go back. Yes, we got told end of Jan and update middle of Feb and now roadmap. But now they've actually got a date where they've said actually outdoor sport.
Yeah.
So yes, we're all looking forward to it and we're all optimistic. And then the league said they're curtailing the season. I'm still not optimistic.
So yeah, no,
I
hear
for yourself
it.
is with the women's team. Are they thinking of restarting or are they completely cancelling it? Or do you know
I thought we'd been extended until June, no?
That's not all
So
sports.
I thought grassroots had been extended. However, when I read the FA's document, it did say women's football step 3 to 6, I believe, not to be the same as men's football, not to be extended. Now I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's what I read. I could have read it wrong.
But as long as you guys have had good weeks and you've got something looking forward to, but I have something to touch on that I said I would start this pod with. Remember when I said that players have played for clubs and left halfway through the season?
Oh yeah.
And they have got medals.
Yeah.
It's true.
These better be names we know.
No, I'm not naming those names. Listen, I gave you guys the proof in the WhatsApp group.
No, that wasn't proof. I didn't know none of them names. Did you know their names? I didn't know them names.
Listen, it's documented. That's what I care about.
I'm gonna go back now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a link in the description for the It was from the Guardian, so it's a good newspaper, and of players that have done it.
If it's like 1970, but yeah. Football.
Anyway, so last week obviously we had an episode that came out a bit late, but it was still a good episode. We touched on some good things. Obviously, there's more things coming up. So we've got LGBTQ coming up. There's obviously other things coming up. There's more pods. We've got more and more guests coming on.
Yeah.
Obviously, today's guest was obviously I sit out in the next segment, but obviously I was in the whole thing. It was a bit of from left field, as they say. Like we expected to talk about football, and then it took a whole snowball of its own.
Yeah, but it was needed. I think it was needed, and I think that we did touch last week about giving other people a voice, and I think we definitely just managed to do that for Jaymie.
I've got nothing but respect for the guy. Literally, we come here today. We come to speak football as we always do. He works in the women's game, and he had some good jobs, shall we say? But this platform has allowed him to voluntarily open up to us, and nothing but respect.
Yeah,
so
commendable.
And that makes this platform all worthwhile.
Yeah,
makes it worth it for what we do, just to give someone a voice and to have them feel comfortable enough to talk to us about certain things. Nothing but respect.
Yeah, it was great.
Nothing but respect.
And just again, just to keep pushing that, the episode that you're about to obviously listen to or watch is a very heartfelt episode, and it's got some surprises in it, and it's got some big statements in it. So I know that I was sitting outside and doing a lot of writing down, and then afterwards we did the. Oh my goodness, the same things I was.
Yeah, it's the same thing I would have mentally noted as well. So.
Obviously, challenges this week as well. How you feeling? Anyone that watches the challenge this week is going to be pleasantly surprised if you're a fan of Cop.
The level of confidence has decreased.
I heard you put up a poll and took it down once you realised you were losing. Can you confirm or deny this?
Do you know what I can confirm? That Carl abided by the rules this week.
No, VAR.
He abided by the rules.
We're still waiting for. It's not Stockley Park or wherever it's from.
I don't know how to take this.
I just feel like the energy is different. Last week it was loud, confident Carl. Do you know what I mean? This week it's a little bit timid and
He's upset.
I get losers vibe. That's how I feel. I get losers vibe.
Big statement.
No comment.
No comment.
I don't want to get involved.
He's got his safety on this week. I think he's been humbled.
Do you know what?
Slightly.
We'll put it before the challenge comes out. We'll put it to the polls again. Do you think I've done better this week?
Right, so you can delete it once people say no.
The fact that
whilst we're here as well, you've had your fresh episode come out.
Yeah, that one has come out. Yeah, it has come out. Yeah, it's come out.
So we're going to big them up as well. Anyone else?
Yeah, there was something I know you wanted to mention.
Yeah, so this podcast is what we're going to mention is Alaskan Ice, which is a desserts company based in Chislehurst now. They've got some top quality desserts at a good price, to be fair. If you haven't had a look, get on Just Eat, get on Alaskan Ice. We'll put their title up here. Yeah, more work for Brownie. Get involved, give them a shout, and get ordering. It's a local company, so as much as we see a name brand, people think that it's a brand, and it's not. It's owned by local people. So they're the ones we also want to support.
First sponsor.
Potentially.
So, this podcast is now officially sponsored by someone. Guys, weeks ago when we just started it, there was none of this situation here.
No.
And we're getting kit.
Yeah, we will be getting kit. Yeah, that's sponsored by Sean.
Apparently, we're getting kit.
Oh, sorry, Carl.
Carl's got trust issues.
When I see it.
I got trust
guys,
Mr. Trust issues.
Alright, next time. Do you know what, I'm going to do a slow-mo of Cole one day. Yeah, it's just going to be Drake trust issues. Guys, thank you again to anyone that watches this and anyone that takes the time. We do hope you enjoy the episode. So for this week, we have you to introduce the gentleman that was on it this week.
Yes, his name is Jaymie. Currently working at Watford Under-11s and Roehampton Uni Women's Team.
Right. Well, I'm off. I'm going to give Jaymie my seat and I'll see you soon.
Unorthodox, we call our own shots. Hi guys, how are you?
So, we are on Past the Pod today. It's myself and Carl coaching. And today we have Jaymie. So Jaymie, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi all, my name is Jaymie. I'm a football coach who works in the women's game. So I work with women and girls, and I've been working for the past 16 years as a coach.
Great, fantastic. So we're going to get into it. So let's talk about how we even came across each other.
Yeah, funny enough, I was already following Carl on Twitter, and I noticed that you were doing the podcast as well. And then Sean mentioned that you had a big reveal, and then we started talking and started talking through that sort of conversation of what you're looking to do for yourself, and then all of a sudden, from that we just said, you know what, would you like to have a chat on a podcast? And we're just like, you know what, that's probably the platform that I need.
Yeah, this is it. I know that there was a few tweets that I'd put out about wanting to give someone a voice.
Yes.
And me and Jaymie had a long conversation on the phone. There was a lot of controversial stuff that came out in that phone call. So
for about 2 hours.
Strong, long conversation we had on the phone. So it was like, this is a good guy to get on. So let's talk about your journey, where it started in your coaching.
Yeah, so I started my journey pretty much the year that I left school.
Do you want to give that away or? No? Don't want to give that
16
away?
years ago.
Hey, yo.
So you're not counting between that. You don't do the math.
give it away.
Yeah.
They're over 30, basically, guys. Yeah.
16 years of experience.
Yeah, this is it.
I'm doing the veteran stage. Like, I'm doing the veteran stage. So yeah, my journey started then in a place called Westway. Westway is very famous in West London.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, for the reasons that Westway is now known for in terms of Grenfell, it was one of the safe havens for a lot of kids, for myself, like myself, who were playing football when we were growing up for best part of about 5 years. As soon as I moved closer to places like Westway, it was easy for me to play and just kick a ball about with friends for a good few years. Then I got asked if I wanted to do coaching, funny enough, when I was 15. But because of the age band, or the age gap, or the age limit, I should say, for the FA, I wasn't able to do my level 1 back then.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, it came around again, and I said, you know what, I'm happy to do so. So yeah, took the opportunity then, and it was good. And then my journey kind of curtailed a little bit because it wasn't as serious as it is now, especially in the last 8 years. The first 8 years, I would say that I was moving from job to job, going from retail into college, trying to do something with my life, really, and that was it. I knew that I wanted to do something around football. It was just that there weren't many doors being opened, or many people going, well, this is an opportunity, what would you like to do with it? The only opportunity I had was, do you want to do a level 1? Oh, it just looks like you've got an extra qualification of out once you've left school. And it was great, but it didn't go anywhere.
Why do you think you had those, that there was no doors open, there was no opportunities?
I think the problem at the time was with a lot of education, and not just in football, but just in general. As you go into college, a lot of people will say, you're doing a course, okay, what's the end game? And there isn't one. That's the problem. So where people I've had conversations with people going to university, but they're not actually doing what their degree actually says.
Oh yeah,
I think that's it though. I think a lot of times when you go to like college and uni, like you kind of get forced on what do you want to do this course for, and to be honest, you're probably not going to do what you're coming out of college or uni with. But what it does show is you've got an ability to learn or to take in information and retain information as such, and put it out on paper if need be. It shows that you've achieved something. Don't get me wrong, people that haven't gone college, they're still. I know a lot of people in good roles that haven't been college. So it's crazy, but there is that pressure sometimes on us that what are you doing it for?
Yeah, it's probably too young.
Yeah,
for you to know. Age 17, 18, do you know what you want to do at that age? Do you really know what you want to do?
Half and half. I would say there's, and it's not for me to cut anybody off, but I think this is a mindset, a mentality thing for a lot of people when they're younger. So as you grow older, or as you grow up, a lot of people say that they're into football. Great, wonderful. But then as you get into a certain age group, I think there's a lot of people who don't necessarily have both dad and mum around. And then the conversation with the mum or with the dads might not be, oh well, this is what I want to do. So in my junior years, I wanted to play football so badly, but I didn't have my mum taking me out to the park. I didn't have my dads around as much, even though, funny enough, where we are, I've got 3 family members all living in within about 15-minute distance, 20-minute distance. So it was tough. It was one of those things where you're kind of going, I really want to play football, I really want to do something, but nobody's actually taking me to these places. And then as I grew up, I started playing football for teams. But again, back in the days, if you were good, you were good.
Yeah.
If you weren't good enough, nobody was going to give you that opportunity to try and develop. And that was the difference of why I decided to become a coach. And I didn't really know that until I started doing it a little bit more beyond my 25th birthday, where I was like, okay,
quite late.
Yeah, so I knew that I wanted to be in football. The problem was that nobody gave me and I wouldn't say nobody, or I just didn't know what it looked like to be a football coach. I just kind of went, okay, well, I've got a qualification. Okay.
What now?
Yeah, that was it, and I've always been that person. Ever since my grand passed, and that was when I was 12, and that's one of the things that hit me hard, just simply because I didn't actually go, and you know when somebody actually needs to see it for themselves, that it's real. I couldn't. I genuinely just couldn't see it. I was. Everybody's going. Do you want to go and see? Do you want to go and see her? Do you want to go and see her? And I remember this simply because that's one of my early. That's one of my earliest memories. One of my earliest memories. I had 2 funerals within. By the time I was 11, I went to 2 different funerals. One was an open casket, and I had to see that person.
I've experienced that as well. Yeah.
And the second one was my grand. Literally about 8 months later. And in those 2 times, I saw them and I was just like, I don't want to see that from my grand. But you see it. Okay, so I would say that's a regret of mine, massively. Just simply because I didn't actually say goodbye. I just kind of went, no, I'm not doing this.
But it must have been it's difficult, isn't it? It's not something that's easy, especially in that short space of time to have that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that those situations are difficult, but I think from experiencing it, when I look back as an adult, I think actually, I've got my last memory wasn't of a grandparent in a casket; it was them alive. So I think I prefer that than having that last image in your mind being probably one that you might not want.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm assuming it must have rocked your world a bit, because that's 11, 12. That's what, year 6, year 7.
Yeah.
You're just about to start
7.
secondary school. Football's probably your be all and end all when you're 12, and then something changes your life.
To an extent. Again, family haven't been. I would say that I helped myself grow up. I basically helped. I left home. We're fast forwarding a lot of things in between here.
We'll come back.
we can kind of do this as a real to real of how my life went. But my time when I left home, I left, fun enough, under sort of circumstances of I just needed to leave. And I left, fun enough, 12 years ago. So I haven't lived at my mum's or my dad's for 12 years.
For that long, yeah.
12 years. So I've had to grow up on my own.
And grow up quite quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, there's another real to real in this one where things shifted. Not just in my coaching career, but just in life. Things shifted in that time as well. So
at the time that you've moved out of home, where are you now? Playing, coaching?
Coaching.
You're coaching. So by the time you've moved out, you've now started your coaching career.
To a degree.
Or was you working alongside coaching?
I had to stop working. Again, a lot of things all broke down. Relationships, not being at home, going into hostels, going into different things, and it was just difficult. So one thing that I've not been able to really proudly talk about or even say was I was actually in a mental institution twice.
Wow.
In the space of 2 months.
Oh.
And
that's quite bold, to be honest, for you to come out and say that. Yeah, it's bold. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not one of my favourite memories, but it's one of those where I've had to kind of hold it in for as long as possible. Just simply because, again, me being a coach, everybody should expect me to be strong. And I don't know if it's the same thing with footballers and stuff like that, but you're expected to be this person who just every day wakes up and just knows what they're going to do. They put on a pair of boots. They know what your right foot is. That left foot just there to stand up.
Yeah, that's Carl. That's Carl.
Just take that bow and arrow.
But you know what? On what you just said, I'm going to put this out to the floor, yeah? So, I know I've had it. How do you feel like you manage, you're having a bad personal time, but you still have to wake up and coach? And you have to deliver to a good standard to your players, but you've just had a row with the missus, or you've had issues going on at home, or dad's sick, or whatever is going on. How do you manage that as a coach?
That took me years to deal with, but I'll open the floor up to
You
you.
can
That
tell-
took me years.
do you know what? Even now, it's difficult. Like, I think this is why I'm a big advocate on Twitter about talking to people you think are okay, because what you just said is a nail on the head. You don't know what's going on in your mate who's meant to who coaches and loves coaching, and like that might be their get out, especially during these lockdowns. Jay had that get out, so that home stuff that might have been affecting them over the last 1, 2, or 3 lockdowns is probably hitting home a little bit more than you believe, but you won't see that because all you know them at is a positive person that's out there. How are they? Like it's difficult. Myself, I have bad times. Everyone has bad times. No one can tell me that they don't. I think they're lying if they do. I'll ask them how they're doing if they say
Yeah.
You just the best advice I got given was when I was 16. I was playing football, and I've said it before: is you paint a face to suit the picture.
Yeah, of course.
The picture we're going into is, as you said, we're coaching young adults potentially, or even adults, and we paint a face that it's about them. It's not about us. So we take a back seat. Really, we step back, don't we?
Yeah, of course.
And we're like, you know what? It's about you guys. It's not about us. So.
I think that's easier said than done, though.
Yeah.
I think it's easier said than done because it's about like what I call leaving your monkeys at the door. So you come in and now you're at work basically, and you're not thinking about it. But some people find it difficult to switch off. Do you know what I mean? That like
the thing that that's the thing that I'll catch on to. The one thing that I'll say is, remember again, this might be taken away from football, but Robin Williams. Yeah. Robin Williams was one of the managed to put a smile on everybody's face and was one of those comedians that if he walks into a room, everybody's laughing straight away.
Yeah.
Or he would literally be again Mrs. Doubtfire or Good Will Hunting, good movies that you kind of go and think, you know what, that was amazing from him. And then all of a sudden he's gone and committed suicide, and you're going, where does that come from? And again, the problem with a lot of clowns, and the reason why I'm going to use the word clowns is literally if you look at the movie The Joker. Yeah. I'm not talking about the Joker from years back with Batman. I'm talking about 2019. Possibly the most talked about movie in 2019.
Yeah, that movie was class.
It was big.
Class.
But
yeah.
funny enough, I found out yesterday it wasn't the most talked about movie of 2019. It was something else. It was called Parasite.
Yeah. I heard about Parasite. Yeah.
From another from one of the websites, I think it was ndwire.com. Parasite was the most talked about movie in 2019.
Yeah.
But for us as the Joker was relatable. Relatable in a sense that it didn't just open up this conversations of I know who I am. It's a conversation of somebody else probably knows who I am.
Yeah, or thinks they do.
Yeah,
so
that was mad.
Yeah.
The movie when he had that alter ego, what's happening with his neighbour, innit?
Yeah.
And something was happening. There was a romantic relationship, but actually. It wasn't like that at all. So many messages in that. To be fair, I didn't even think about it, but think about it now.
It's deep.
Yeah.
It's deep. Yeah.
So it brought out so many different awarenesses in terms of one, he had this sort of a crooked back against scoliosis. It also spoke about his time again with a gun, and all of a sudden he's on a main stage. But then he's going to shot the presenter.
The host.
So he's going to shot the host, and you're going, trust me, I ain't that person.
Yeah.
You got to say.
We should have searched for an entry.
Now don't come nights.
Do you know what? For you to come out and tell us that is massive.
Massive.
Nothing but respect. Nothing but respect.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of people can even imagine what that's like. So to come out and say that is
well, the thing is those were two of probably the easiest times of my life, being in those places.
Why would you say that?
Because it was the times between it. So where people talk about support and everything, my brother was able to take me out the first time.
Yeah.
And then he was able to take me out the second time, but in between, I developed a habit of self-harm.
Okay.
And I've actually got the scars to prove it. So the problem with a lot of the things that I did in between is I just went, you know what, I don't know how to feel. I genuinely just don't know how to feel. So I just went, you know what, how would this feel? And then all of a sudden, the the next cut happened, and I just couldn't feel anything. Couldn't feel anything until about, I think it was almost a year later. I think this was May, funny enough, Chelsea, and I remember this simply because I think Chelsea beat Wigan 8-0 one day.
You're a Chelsea fan?
I was close by when the game was going on.
You couldn't tell me he's a Wigan fan.
Oh, that would have been worse. Yeah, no one talk about it.
But no, I remember it specifically for two reasons. Again, the Chelsea game on that day. I think Chelsea beat just to win it. I think they had to score. I think a goal, and then they went and scored 8. So that was one of the things that I remember it for. But then the night before, I actually took an overdose.
Oh, wow.
And the overdose was just there for me to take. I had tablets that they were giving me from the doctors, and I knew that they weren't working, and I was just taking them. And then the next thing you know, I've woken up the next day, and this is around 4 o'clock. So I had a whole day in hospital. I was there from about 2 a.m. the night before, and I just literally was just sleeping. I was conked out completely. And then by the time the game started, they said, "You've got to leave. You got to leave the hospital." Yeah, they needed the bed.
Really?
They actually needed the bed.
That's mad.
So I was literally sleeping from, I think it was 2 a.m., 10 p.m. at night. My brother had come to see me. They said, "We're just going to take him upstairs." Next thing you know, I've gone upstairs and I've just slept. And I've just slept from then, woken up twice. They've given me a piece of toast, ate literally the corner of it, and then fallen asleep again. They said, "We need you to wake up, we need you to wake up." Next thing you know, around about 3:30, they've gone, "Yeah, you need to go because we need the bed." I was like, okay, fair enough.
Wow.
So I walked back to the hospital.
That's crazy.
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah.
So the hospital just
discharged. Just see you later.
Yeah, they just needed me to leave.
So was this is the first time?
This was after the second time.
This was after the second time.
Yeah.
Okay, and then go on with the timeline.
From there, that night I had an allergic reaction, so my tongue swelled up. Yeah, from out of nowhere, I just couldn't speak, and my tongue just went. But nobody actually knew what the problem was because I couldn't even tell anybody. What the problem was is that there was a paramedic who'd seen this before, and he was the one that actually identified that it was just my tongue had gotten a lot bigger. So I was just like, that's not helpful. And then went to the hospital that night. Came back, funny enough, 3 hours later, and then just went for a walk. And this is the turning point in my life that I've been trying to work through as well. So I just went for a walk, and where it was not too far from West London, from Stamford Bridge. And I just walked, and I think I was in t-shirt. Ironically, an Arsenal t-shirt that was definitely back in the days. Definitely back in the days. So it was
JVC.
JVC time.
You know how I'm going to tell you this one. So the best way to explain the JVC top is, do you remember when United beat Arsenal 6-1?
Was that what
2001, I think it was.
Because that was everywhere, man. Everywhere.
So United beat Arsenal again 8-2, but the one that was the previous was the 6-1.
6-1, yeah.
I had that top.
I
had that top on.
You like big scores, something that relates to a big score.
It does, unfortunately it does. I can't actually say that I was at the Brazil-Germany game. That 7-1 was a killer.
That was strong, yeah.
But I wasn't in Brazil for that game, and I probably would have felt the pain as well. So I'm like,
yeah.
You were meant to win the World Cup. No, you were definitely not winning it now. After about 20 minutes, 3-0 down. Just say your goodbyes.
Keep it moving.
Yeah, just say your goodbyes. So I went for a walk. And when I say that, I could have walked to Japan, through the channel, into the next countries over, all the way around the world. I wouldn't have stopped. I genuinely would have had bleeding feet. I probably would have had broken ankles, everything. Wow. I would have walked. Probably would have made it to here.
So you were just walking and walking.
I stopped and you might know Knightsbridge.
Yeah.
Harrods.
Yeah.
So I managed to stop just before Harrods, and that's pretty much about 25 minutes from where I was.
And what are you thinking about? Nothing. Just walk in.
To the point where I could have just, like I said, I could have just walked and nobody would have been able to stop me. I could have walked for 7 days, 5 days, whatever it would have taken me. I would have not known anything.
I think that's it. And that's that people don't understand. You don't think.
You're just walking.
You try not to think. Like I've not been down that, but I've seen counsellors and stuff, and they try to get you to think, and you just don't.
You don't want to.
Don't want to think.
Yeah.
It's
yeah. So then, what happened when you got to Harrods?
I just turned back.
Oh.
I didn't even know what I was doing. I just turned back.
Like
something just told me you need to turn back. And then I sat in the hostel. They had a small little room where you can divulge and talk. I just sat there and the lights were off. It weren't like how the room is now. Lights were off, and all I was looking at was another person's window. But literally we had a massive window like this, and I was just looking, but I weren't looking at their window specifically. I was looking down. My head was down. And I don't, for the life of me, I don't even remember why I got up and walked. I just don't remember the reason why, but I got up and walked, and the next day, all of a sudden, I was smiling. So for about a year, depression hit me hard. I'd say, to the point where I did become a self-harm, and they diagnosed me with borderline personality disorder. So yeah, I went through the whole situation of just trying to build myself back up, especially when everybody's telling you might be able to do this, or we've got opportunities, or you're telling me that you've got opportunities, but you're not actually delivering. And I've always said to people, until you deliver, I want to hear it. And this is the issue. I think we had the conversation outside of because I've noticed that you're looking to still climb the ladder. I think it was, and I had a conversation with somebody on LinkedIn last night, where they live down the road from one of the clubs that I'm going to be coaching at once lockdown is over. And he was saying that he wants to climb the ladder and try and get through, and he's saying, well, I'm going to take the bus. I said, okay, fair enough, you take the bus, but some of the away games are not going to be bus worthy.
Yeah, 100%.
You have to try and work around that. In my earlier days with coaching, because it was just literally down the road, it wasn't a problem. But then you want to climb the ladder, you can't just hope that it's going to be on your doorstep. Just like you normally say to kids, if you want to go and play at the top level, you're going to have to start traveling. It's not an option. It isn't an option. It's like if you're lucky enough just to have, again, a Arsenal or Chelsea literally on your doorstep for training, you are one of the lucky ones.
100%.
But if you know that you've got to travel from Harrow to Surrey, not happening. You know full well you're going to have to start planning your time, planning your life, and I had one of my players actually do that for the best part of the season, and now she's a Chelsea RTC player. And I was happy for it. I was happy for it because I was actually going down to watch her play for Chelsea. I'm actually looking to go and see her in some of her games. Again, I've got a couple of other players who one's gone to Arsenal the season before. One went to QPR. One went to London Bees. One went to Oxford United, and that's all it is for me. I don't want them to.
I think I need to hit you up, you know.
Do you think like, because you mentioned earlier about like in your personal playing that, not that you necessarily didn't have the parental support, but that obviously your mum wasn't taking you, dad wasn't taking you. So do you think that, and I think that there's a lot of inner city kids, let's say, that are in certain demographics where their parents they're not able to take them, basically. And obviously I know as a female, Cobham is far. Like, do you know what I mean? Some of these places are far to go. Yeah. So luckily, like, thank God, my dad's always been very supportive. I mean, he dropped me in today, so he hasn't really stopped. But I think, like, it's difficult for a lot of parents. Do you think maybe there should be funding or something to assist kids that are underprivileged or do you know what I mean?
So my point to this, and one of the reasons why I'm in the female game is it is growing. The problem with the female game compared to the male game is yes, it's been funded a lot more in the male game. Just literally recently, the National League was given 20 million last September. I think it might have been even sooner than that. But it was given 20 million to complete the season. So again, you have Barrow and I can't remember the other team that went up. Harrogate. They both went up after the season had to be completed so that they could actually work out who was going to go up. But at the same time, League 2, they were shut down, and those two teams who had to go down were relegated by March. Not by May, they were relegated by March. That's the first thing. Now all of a sudden, I think about 2 weeks ago, the WSL was only given 2.25 million.
So we've got National League getting 20 million, and then the top of the women's pyramid got 2 million.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
See what I'm trying to say? Do you see why I get mad?
It's crazy because
it's
crazy.
crazy.
When I worked in the boys' game, I've seen clubs send taxis for boys, taxis to houses, to pick boys up, to take them to training. I've worst of it all, I've seen boys not get in them taxis. Let's not talk about that.
Do you get what I'm please. The heat is rising from my feet.
But then you got the women's RTC. Luckily, and to be fair, there's a lot more parental support. I personally, what I've seen in the women's game than there is in the male game. I think sometimes there's that stigma around boys that they can get on with it. And jump on a bus
that's true.
And overprotective parents they'll take their daughters to training and
a
stuff.
little bit more protection.
Yeah. Have you found that as well? Because you work with younger.
Yeah,
we ain't even got there yet.
We
ain't even got there yet.
That's how long my story's gone. 16 years, people.
But you know what? That's that. Like, kind of like to kind of go back to what we were speaking about. Was that has there been times where you've had to manage your coaching and your mental health?
Going back to that point, yes. Fun enough, constantly.
Which is if that's true, that's true. Yeah.
So one of the things that I wanted to mention today was when you've got the before, during, and after sort of situation, depending on the age group that you're working at, you've got so many things to think of before you even get ready. So I was actually going through it in my head today. You're thinking of formation. And I don't really care about formation when it comes to under 11s. I just want them to play. Normally, I just rotate everyone. And I do that within the game. I don't even just do that after you're going to do this next week and blah, blah, blah. No. I'm giving you the platform just to actually play in different positions because come 3 or 4 years from now, where we're in a transitional generation, and I mean transitional in the sense of the game's basically played in a transitional period.
Yeah.
After this, it's probably going to be an attacking game.
Yeah.
So if you can play attacking football, great, wonderful. After that, it's going to go back to defence. And then all of a sudden, we're going to go into that cycle of, okay, we'll transition, we'll come back, and it's just going to be a sort of full circle.
Do you know why I like that? Do you know why I like the idea of, it's under 11s you work with, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. I was on a like a UEFA B taster kind of thing, basically. Yeah. And there's our numerical system is different to other countries.
Massively. Brazil's one starts from January to October.
No, I mean the positions on the pitch. So ours is like 2 and 3 left and right back, let's say. Yes. In like Australia, it's completely different. So the numerical system's not the same. Yeah. So there was a guy that was giving us a talk that day, Mark Dimitri.
I know.
You know Mark, yeah. Lovely guy. Brilliant. And he was brilliant. And he was saying that with his younger age groups, he doesn't give them positions. He doesn't say you're a centre back or you're this, that, and the other, because he doesn't want kids to feel like they're boxed in terms of their position. So he just gives them numbers. So they will go and say, "Mom, I played number 4 today." That doesn't necessarily mean anything to them. It just because he's basically saying that who's to say your centre back can't score?
Yeah.
Who's to say that? Do you know what I mean? Your centre mid can't go backwards if he needs to.
Yeah.
So it's like that's how he does it with kids.
Mhm.
And I think that the idea of not worrying about formations, let's say, or not worrying about putting them in specific positions, I think that's almost priceless for kids.
Yeah.
I mean, for all of us that have played, I didn't start in the same position that I've ended up in.
No, I think-
So and at pro level, I think sometimes players find it difficult to adapt to different positions. And I think if
But
it's
they
taught younger,
they haven't been able to
It's a mental
experience
thing.
it.
yeah.
They've been told all their life, you're right.
You're a centre back,
Yeah.
and I don't want you to go past the halfway line, and
Yeah.
that's in your mind. Do
So,
you know what I mean?
And then you get told, go play wing today.
Yeah, and
Play
you're
full.
rattled. You don't know what's going on.
Look at
so the funny thing is about that is I've had a couple of conversations with parents and a couple of conversations with coaches, and they've said to me, "Oh, they need to know their positions. They have to be this." And I'm thinking that's the English mentality.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Up until you get to adult age, your position is not fixed. The only difference between 11s to 12s is if you're playing 7-a-side, the position rotates. Once you get to 9-a-side, then you have to start thinking, okay, well, what side am I better at?
Yeah. This is
What
gold
side of the
dust,
pitch?
guys. This is
what
gold
side-
dust.
what side of the pitch am I better at? And
Yeah.
I think that's the thing with a lot of coaches is that they've been told you have to play in a certain position because it has to be this, has to be that. We have to get, and then you start to recognise that it's a results-driven situation. Because if you've got a position, let's say that we are all elite with Arsenal.
Yeah.
If they're looking for a certain player, they're not going to be looking for that certain. And that person really fits the bill. They're going to actually look at the person before them.
Yeah.
So again, we're talking about Bukayo Saka.
Yeah.
Saka was a left back,
Mm-hmm.
but then all of a sudden somebody mentioned that he's going to be better off in an attacking fullback position.
Yeah.
Problem is that the way that Arsenal set up, he needs a left back. So
Yeah.
again, that's why you see Kieran Tierney again.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you saw that Saka was able to play not just on the left hand side but also on the right.
Yeah.
But he cannot play through the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, the conversation now opens up as what is your best side and what is your best position.
It's just like Ashley Cole.
That's what I'm about to say.
Which
that,
is
you
what I
know.
say, Ashley Cole's like, come on! Ashley
Say
Cole,
left
left
wing,
winger,
innit?
yeah. And then I didn't they needed a left back, so they
Yeah.
just called up Ashley Cole.
Best left back in the world.
Now he's
in my
one of the best.
opinion.
I think so as well.
My
One of the
opinion.
best left backs in the world.
So
So,
understood
Here's the
about.
truth about that. He was a striker.
Yeah. He started
See?
well. Yeah, I
he
knew,
started
yeah.
as a striker and was right-footed until he broke his ankle. I
Didn't know
believe.
that. That's
And
right.
then switched and then started to train on his left
left
foot.
foot.
That's
And
right.
then literally that's how he became one of the best left backs in the
We're
world.
not telling you to break your ankles and
Yeah,
change
yeah,
your
to
foot.
learn. What?
But, you know, that's mad that it's
Listen,
done
if
that.
you're,
Yeah.
if you're an adult and you're still taking that as advice, then you're
Yeah, you're in the wrong.
This
You're
guy
in the wrong
just-
field.
guy just
Yeah.
kissed
stick to golf.
His kids,
Yeah.
his kids playing football with their right foot, and he's like, "You fitted them." Nah, guess we got to use your left. You're gonna have to go up with your left.
Tell me about this one more time.
So how did you get on with your coaching qualifications? So you done your level 1.
Done my level 1 early, and then it was another 5-6 years before my level 2. It should have been a lot sooner, but I didn't necessarily know who to go through, what to do, blah blah blah. And I was basically trying to grow up between 16 and 19, and for a lot of that, it was I had a relationship which broke down. I also had my family home where I was going to college, and I went from college to college. I didn't actually stick with one college all the way through. It was literally all the colleges that I went to were all connected. The problem was is that they weren't the same location.
Yeah.
All the journeys were different. I started walking to school, walking to college. I had a job. I had 2 jobs at the same time when I left school, and then those broke down after about 3 weeks.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Real life.
Yeah, and this is
Real life.
the thing. This is what it was all about. I didn't actually know why. And a lot of things that were actually happening in terms of my health, not just obviously the mental health sides, but also physically. I got asthma, and that played a massive part in what I could do in football and how I could do. Then I was told that I've got injuries, tried to get to semi-pro, all of these things, and then obviously eventually you kind of going, I don't have the necessary mentality just to keep going through injuries, to keep going through all of this. And I just went, you know what, I'll just go for coaching. So
Done your level 2.
Yeah,
Who
done my
put
level
you on
2.
that? Did you let yourself, or did you go to someone you was coaching with say, we'll put you on your level 2, or did you just find the FA and go, I'll do my level 2?
Luckily, somebody helped me with speaking to, I think it was either the London FA or the FA themselves, and
Yeah.
just put me on my level 2, and I was grateful for it because it came at the right time in my life. And that was literally 6 months after my overdose.
Wow.
6 months
Wow.
after my overdose. So I started it in October with a family called the Drabwells.
Called what, sorry?
John Drabwell was my coach.
Okay.
Was my tutor. His granddaughter Jodie was at the time was coaching at Tottenham, but also was helping us and doing her level, I think UEFA B or something like that.
Yeah.
And his son Mark Drabwell was the assessor.
Oh,
Wow.
So again, yeah, I worked very well just to try and work around what they needed. And then I think it was October to January. They said if you want to do your assessment now in January and February, you can. But I said I'm not ready.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not ready. So I decided to take another few months out. And this was the old level. This is
level 2.
where
Yeah.
you would work with the coaches, not with the players.
Yeah.
So I kind of got lucky in the sense that as well. And I never take that for granted whatsoever.
that must have helped you though. The fact you was able to say, I need a little bit more time. Do you know? To me, it makes me say you're a better coach. You understand where
Yourself.
you're at, where you're at, what you need to do, and actually, I mean, a little bit more time here. I'm not just trying to rush through it just for the sake of getting my qualification so I can get X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to understand. I want to know that I'm ready, and then I want to show you that I can deliver the way it needs to be delivered. That's quality.
And I think this. Thank you.
I think it's commendable we managed to turn it around in 6 months.
Yeah.
To be honest.
To the point where I was actually surprised myself. I was literally like, what actually happened? I literally just switched off.
Yeah.
Like for a full year, I switched off. I think one of the main things was the relationship that I had before.
Do you think football saved you a little bit?
It's not a little bit.
A lot.
It was my saving.
Yeah.
Do you know what I love
It
that?
was my saving.
Love that. Yeah.
I love that.
Throughout that year, I was playing football. But the problem is whilst you're playing football, you go home and you get the highs of playing football.
Yep.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So this is during the World Cup of 2010, and everybody knows what happened to Frank Lampard's goal, hence the reason for VAR.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put it out there now.
Yeah.
Or if you want to really go back to a real situation, Rob Green.
Yeah.
Rob Green, who just so happened to drop the ball.
Yeah, as a West Ham fan, we both know how heartbreaking that is.
Well, the problem wasn't that, again, when you look at that whole England setup and that whole England team, you had an injured David Beckham in the squad, but you didn't have Joe Hart, who was the best goalkeeper at the time, playing for Birmingham City.
Yeah.
But unknown from Manchester City. And I was just looking at it going, well, now that you've seen what happened to Rob Green, you pretty much thrown the lamb to the slaughter.
Yeah.
Lamb to the wolves. So once he made that mistake, everybody's going, well, let's just bring in David James. Well, you're not really getting any better.
Do you know what the worst bit is? David James was a good keeper, but he just done some weird stuff.
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah.
Because of his height, he was able to do the shot stopping that certain goalkeepers can't.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed as I've grown into my coaching role is certain players have certain attributes and certain traits that, again, if you're looking at it from a 7-a-side mentality to 9-a-side mentality, funny enough, I actually go on the mentality itself.
Yeah.
So my mentality is, at the moment you're playing different positions, but I'm watching you as a person, as a player, especially if I put you in as a striker. If you're starting to drop back, almost to the point where you're in defence, you're not a striker.
Yeah, because naturally you're drifting away.
Naturally you're defending your own goal. So I can't put you, when we go to 9-a-side, I can't put you up front.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden everybody's going to be going, well, where is the striker?
Yeah.
Watford's got a little gem here. I'm just going to put it out there. Watford's got a little gem.
Yeah, 100%.
You know
100%.
It's crazy.
So did you pick up did you go on after that after your level 2 to do any? Did you go on to UEFA B?
It took me another few years, unfortunately, and then life hit me again, quite hard.
Okay.
So in between, then I was working with Brentford, very short time. Also worked with QPR, and at the same time decided to go and work Fulham. So I was working 2 jobs at the same time with 2 different clubs that are literally a mile apart from each other. And
Well,
not just that, you had the one that's like 50 miles.
Miles away, yeah.
And funny enough, at the end of that year, I also done my level 2 goalkeeping.
Did you?
Yeah, so by the time, I think the 2011, I decided to do coaching disabled footballers. And then by 2013, I decided to do my level 2 goalkeeping. And at the end of that year, was called up to Arsenal. Arsenal, at the time, was Ladies Development Centre, but it's now the RTC.
Yeah.
So I was
Arsenal. No matter what level, even the women, like, Arsenal.
It is. But in the context of the wording behind it. So it's like basically Charlton RTC.
Yeah.
But at the time, it would have been called the Development Centre.
Yeah.
So
These are not, you're not applying for these roles, are they? It's just like, we know a guy, we're going to contact him.
No, applied.
Oh, you applied? Okay,
Yeah, applied.
okay.
And they just said, well, we've seen what you can do and we like
So we'll have you in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So QPR and Fulham were community sessions.
Yeah.
Funny story about Fulham. I should have had my interview 2 months after starting QPR.
Yeah.
I didn't because the person, I think I had a QPR session that day, had to go home, get changed so that I wasn't wearing QPR gear.
Kit, yeah.
To go to a session that was in a sort of a cage type area to do an actual coaching session.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, well, you turned up late, so you might as well just go home. And I was just like, I think I was late by about 15 minutes, but I didn't know that I was late. I was just trying to get there.
Yeah.
So they called me in, funny enough, 2 months later, on the same day that I decided that the QPR coaches decided to do a match at Westway. So again, that's the connection to QPR again with Fulham.
Yeah.
So I had a match with QPR. Decided to go to the session straight away from the game.
Yeah.
From the game, done the session, and they said, yeah, if you want to do the session, if you want to join the club, you can.
Okay.
So I did, and then by the time December rolled around, I'd already done the mascot for Fulham. I'd already been on the pitch with QPR, and we're talking Loftus Road.
Yeah.
So I'd been on the pitch. I'd actually had a photo with Jermaine Genus, Hogan Ephraim, quite a few, even Steve McLaren. So I'd been on the pitch with Harry Redknapp, Steve McLaren. At the time, those were the coaches. And one of the things that I remember at that time was I actually done the autographs.
Oh wow! Okay.
I had done the autographs, and the kids actually were thinking, "Is he one of the first team?"
You signed it. Did you put the number as well? 25.
I should have,
98.
The funny thing is that because of one of the schools that I was working at, one of the schools, the kids were there for the sort of the training day.
Yeah.
And they saw me. So
Sir,
they were calling me up and like, let me just sign this quickly.
You know, he went home, he looked online, and he was like, I get stickers made of myself. I get myself for the kid. When I go back to that school, I'm going to give out stickers for their match.
100%.
I'm thinking match attacks, let me just put my name in there. You got to get me in there, man. Premier League, this ain't even a joke, bro. So, yeah.
So then obviously there's a gap now between the level 2 and UEFA B.
Massively, yes.
But you still went on to do your UEFA B.
Yeah, did the course. Again, one of the things that I'll mention is not too long after I got the opportunity to join Arsenal, literally about 2 weeks later, I was in a racism round.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, again, this is where everything really picks in.
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's go.
The podcast.
I think the name says Unorthodox.
This is the point. Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
So, one of the things that happens.
Oh yeah, sit up.
Get ready. Let me just adjust this.
The funny thing is, and here's the funny thing about it, everybody's all relaxed because it's coaching, and I'm pretty sure you would literally go, I've heard this story before. Okay, here we go.
I don't care how many times I hear stories about racism. We're gonna talk about it.
I saw Sean go.
Yeah.
I went like that.
Let's go.
Let me just go from this to
So
wow.
let's
get serious now, innit?
That's right, bro.
But go on, let's go. Yeah.
Speaking.
Please.
So yeah, my experience with racism happened twice in the space of a year. The first time was I was in the hostel, and me and the guy just never got on. And
is this another coach, another manager?
Just a random kind of person that
60-year-old
lives in the
guy.
hostel with you.
Yeah, just lives with me and.
Oh, okay, he's in the hostel. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was just there. I was just like, okay, there's something wrong here. Something wrong, and for some reason, they were seeing it as I've got a problem with him. Now, I understand that it can look that way because, again, when he's doing certain things in the kitchen and blah blah blah, and he's stinking out the room, I'm kind of going, well, that's not right. I can't use the stuff now. Because obviously you've got to share the stuff. So it was like, well,
It's just general cleanliness issues.
Yeah, massively. And I'm because I've grown up for myself.
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest things. Be clean, get your boots clean, everything. Yeah. Don't just kind of walk in and show me that you got dirty boots, because as far as I'm concerned, as much as you got the mud from last week's game, I'm pretty sure you had at least an hour to clean those boots.
Yeah.
Well, you get fined if you go to the clubs.
Some clubs would, but I know nowadays everybody goes, well, my mum will do it, or my dad will do it. I'm like, no, that's not happening today.
No.
Go and clean your boots. Don't come to me and say that you had somebody else doing it, because as far as I'm concerned, when you get older and you're no longer living at home, are you actually going to be saying who's going to be cleaning the dishes? Who's going to be cleaning the
100%.
Who's going to be just putting the sheets on the bed? It just for me, it just starts from cleaning the boots.
Yeah.
If you're saying I'll clean the boots, and then you're going, okay, well, I can't actually allow my mum to do this anymore. Okay, fair enough, and that's fine. Then what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And then it just, for me, that's how it just rolls.
I must be lucky. I've got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old that fight over who's gonna do the drying up afterwards.
Yeah, you got lucky.
You got very lucky.
Both ways.
Yeah. You got very lucky.
Yeah.
I ain't that blessed, but you got very lucky.
Trust me, I ain't that blessed either. So you and the guy.
So yeah, me and him just got into a little spat, and eventually what happens? At some point, he said that I threatened him with a knife. I'm thinking, wait, what? So yeah, he decided to bring his family around.
What?
And his family are all old adult guys, and I'm just looking at them and I'm going, and there's just me one in this room, and everybody, and I'm calling my dad, I'm calling other people, and they're saying, yeah, I can't get involved.
Man.
So you feel isolated at this point?
Yeah.
Can't
get involved, and then 2 weeks later, not the same person, but I'm going to, again, just to try and sort myself out in terms of mental health, going to going to sort of counselling sessions, and I went with the group ones, and must have been sitting around a table with a friend of mine, or a couple of friends of mine, and this guy's just seen me from a distance, and I've seen him, and I knew full well that there's something wrong here. He's not looking at anybody else, he's just looking at me, and he's just gone and picked up a chair like that that was sitting at my table, and he's gone from where he was standing at the canteen all the way across, put his food down, and he shouldn't have been there apparently. Shouldn't have been there. Picked up the table, picked up the chair, and threw it at me.
Just out of the blue.
Just like that.
Is there any black guy in the room?
I'm not too sure. I switched off from then.
Yeah.
It was a red flag.
Yeah.
I raged out to the point where everybody's saying, "No, you got to calm down." Did you not just see what you just done to me?
Yeah.
So everybody's telling me, "Don't hit him." They've gone and forced him to hide from me.
Oh, so no, you're the aggressive one. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, we all know how this works. Yeah.
So,
you just laugh. That's all you can do.
The funny thing is, I wanted to press charges against him, and they said that he wasn't fit enough to stand for trial. I never saw him. I spent a couple of months just trying to work out whether I was actually going to see the guy again. And they said to me, and the police literally said to me that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
He's not fit enough to stand trial.
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you. Based on obviously these two situations, was this like was there like direct racial abuse, or is this like a why else would you do this if I wasn't this colour? Do you know what I mean? It's more like a covert racism situation, or was it like there was direct? I've been called this got said to me, or was it more like? Do you know what I mean? You know when you have the racism where you can feel it. We're loading. We're loading. Okay.
So
yeah.
The first 2 times was, why are you actually doing this to me? You haven't got any reason. If it just doesn't need to be done. The next time, which was a year later, was I now left and now joined and gone into my own place. And from that, had a 60-year-old man who was living above me, had his own plants outside my house.
Had his plants?
Yeah, had his plants. And I'm thinking, you know what, this shouldn't be a case. This shouldn't be the case. But the housing organisation was like, well, he's been there for 20 years, you should leave them. I was like, well, you shouldn't need to leave them. That's not his property, as far as I'm concerned. But they're going, no, you should be leaving them. I'm like, all right, cool. Just leave it as it is. Get through this. I'm probably not going to be here for the rest of my life anyway. So just deal with it. So comes to December now, like I said, joined QPR, joined Fulham. Funny enough, started another job as well, and then joined Arsenal. And then one night he decides to start. I think this was the night after or before I have my interview for Arsenal, and I've gone to London Colney. I haven't got any car. I've not got a car. London Colney.
Bus.
Yeah. I had to go to Watford for this.
Someone needs to school me on this. What's this?
So
What's this?
it's literally like
Arsenal's training ground for.
Oh, okay.
London
Yeah, that one went over my head. Yeah.
Here's a fun fact: London Colney is home to Watford and Arsenal, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Literally, all you have to do is throw a stone, and you're on both sides of the pitch.
Isn't that the same as Fulham and AFC Wimbledon now?
No.
They're like a stone's throw away, aren't they? Or that they're next. You can see the Fulham team training next door. They're that close.
Training ground.
If you're talking about Moscow Park.
Yeah, and where AFC Wimbledon train.
They used to be a fence between them.
Yeah. It's something like that.
There was a fence.
Between them.
I think they changed it though.
Okay.
They changed it. I think it might be the Anthony Ferguson will probably school.
Yeah, probably.
I think AFC Wimbledon went to Tooting and Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know they do sessions on their 4G next door.
Yeah, I think they've moved just simply because of Plough Lane. Now the Plough Lane's now been built up.
Right. Okay.
You know what? We need a better place.
Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
Go on, sorry.
Back to one of those things. So, just one of those things. You have that conversation. You kind of go, okay, this could tell somewhere. So yeah, that night I had the interview with Arsenal. Came back and literally it was about 11 o'clock, and I had to leave a QPR session again.
Yeah.
QPR really got around. So I had to leave the QPR session. They told me that I couldn't wear anything but because I'm an Arsenal fan, I decided to rock up in my Arsenal. Arsenal, I just decided to roll up in it. Changed. It was for a goalkeeping position. Did the session. Apparently there were 3 other people that were going for the job. They gave it to me. Simply because I was ready to travel. That was the difference. I was ready to travel.
But that's the difference for a lot of coaches is the willingness to do it. I think so.
More so because it was the club. More so that I was ready to because it was the club.
Yeah.
My dreams. I was just like, wow, Arsenal calling me up.
To be fair, if Man United come calling for me, I'm gone. I don't even support them, but it's just who Man United are.
Yeah.
You go.
Same. Yes. I'm much a West Ham supporter, and they're beating City right now.
Funny enough, I was still before would never have gone to Spurs.
Yeah.
Spurs now called me up into a position where I could say, well, this is bigger than what I was doing at Arsenal, QPR, Fulham.
You go.
And I hate that with a passion because of who I support. But at the same time, I'm looking at it and going, well, there's no drawing the line here anymore.
Yeah.
And we alluded to your career about
you
having to play for Millwall despite
the fact I support West Ham.
Yeah.
So
I look at that and I go, well, that's one that takes a lot of cojones.
Yeah, especially with the kind of fans both clubs have got.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah.
I actually respect you for that.
Thanks.
Just simply because two things. One, most people will just go, you know what, you can't play for them, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you have to stick with your rights. You've gone and said, well, prove me wrong. Why should I stick with this team when they're not even giving me a chance?
Well,
And that's how I look at it. If West Ham are the bigger club, but they haven't gone to you and say, do you want to come and help us?
Yes, I'm gonna go where I can get my playing time.
And that's the thing for me. I'm looking at most of the coaches nowadays, and they're saying, I support this team and blah blah blah. But I think the general idea now has gone to, well, wherever you can get the work, go. Sort of thing. But before it was a case of, well, you support West Ham, how can you ever be at Mill? Or
I support neutral. I don't support no one. I support who I work for. It's the easiest way. Gives me free tickets to get in.
It's a cop out.
Gets you free tickets.
I tried that.
This
is the thing. Most people will say you worked at QPR and Fulham, and a lot of people question me for it. Like, really, QPR Fulham? And I'm like, yeah, so what?
But they're both in the Championship at the same time.
One, I think QPR had gone up that year to the Premier. So I actually went to a game, funny enough, that QPR provided me tickets with.
Was it Arsenal?
Yeah. Of course it was.
They didn't provide you. He's like, yo, see the Arsenal game coming up.
I need that. I need that.
Tickets.
The funny thing is, there's a picture of me standing right behind Cazorla. But I wasn't in the Arsenal. I wasn't in the Arsenal end. I was actually in my QPR gear on that day with a friend in the QPR
end.
And I was literally sitting right next to
Cazorla.
Where you can't really celebrate like that.
No. So we scored in the first minute through Theo Walcott, and I was like,
Then it was really control yourself, yeah.
One person behind you is looking at you.
That's happened twice to me as well. So I've got family in Ireland.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't classify myself as English.
Yeah.
I'm Jamaican and Irish.
What a mix.
That's how I happen to live in England. That's how I look at myself. And if I'm going to really take this back, a lot of us were treated as fifth-class citizens.
Yeah.
For years, despite actually helping England.
Yeah.
No dogs, no Irish. Irish come under
no
dogs.
Literally,
dogs, no Irish.
Yeah.
And we helped the country. We were asked to help rebuild the country
Windrush.
through the Commonwealth. Not just the Windrush, but even before that. For years, through the World Wars, and to actually be a part of the World Wars through the Commonwealth. And yet, nobody will take heed of what we had to go through, even before then, simply because apparently 400 years of history isn't my history. 400 years of slavery is not my history. So my gran, who passed away, the one that I was talking about, is Native American. Everybody knows the history behind that, and so it just so happens that is Spanish, and that Spanish, European, and English people who decided to invade the American islands to say, well, this is our land now. So again, there are small pockets in Canada, small pockets in the US, who still can classify themselves as Native American. However, they're being driven out because there's now a case of fracking, which fracking is to do with oil. So they're trying to build wells in places where they know they can actually take money and take homes away from the people who pretty much have been here from day one. And that's what's the real issue here in terms of slavery. I'll go back to my story in terms of what happened to myself, and because I know that divulges into a different subject completely. But again, I haven't just sat there and just not known my history.
Of course, 100%. It's important.
So as an Irish fan, I went to the England match at Wembley, and we scored first. And no word of a lie, sitting at the top level, I went like that, top, Irish top. I had to put my jacket on, Irish top, went like that, and then I looked around.
There was a Karen there, wasn't there? Karen.
It's true.
To the point where I think it was Keith.
Is that?
So I had a lot lot of people just looking around.
It was that, innit?
Yeah. Sit down. I think my seat, the funny thing is, I think my seat was literally the last one in the aisle. The last one in the aisle next to the stairs. So I was like, they score again.
Quick exit. Quick exit.
So, yeah, I went to that game, and obviously England got the equaliser, and it was fun to be there. And for an Irish person, going to Dublin as well was amazing. Just being at the Aviva Stadium, and I actually called it when Germany won the World Cup. I said I went to that game. €100 for a ticket, by the way.
€100 per ticket. What's that, like £80?
I think
probably
so.
more than that now.
It's probably more than that now, but at the time it was. I just went simply because I was going to see Germany.
Yeah.
So it was. I think it was Ireland against Germany. This is when Germany were really building towards the World Cup.
So it was all them.
Yeah, massive, and it was a 6-1 victory. But you couldn't actually disgruntle what they were going to do. You couldn't just go, you know what, Germany and Ireland are going to beat Germany one day. It was just one of those games where you're just like, okay. And I said that night, Germany, there's your winners. There's your World Cup winners. And behold, 7-1 later, go and win the World Cup. Go and win the World Cup. And I said that again for another game. So went to the playoff final, QPR versus Wigan, and that was playoff semi-final. And then went to the final between QPR and Derby. So McLaren had left QPR to go to Derby County that season, and they had a game, and it was 3-3. At, I think it was, where was it? I think it was at Loftus Road. But yeah, went to the final at Wembley, same day that Real Madrid played Atletico Madrid the first time. And if you remember that one, that was I think 4-1 in extra time. So I went to that game, and I said to somebody on the night of this playoff semi-final, it's going to be won by 1 goal. Don't matter who it is going to be. It's going to be won by 1 goal.
1 goal's going to be in it, yeah.
Bobby Zamora comes up with the goal in front of us.
My guy.
And it was that goal, and it was just like, not only have I just sort of predicted what was going to happen in terms of the game, but it's kind of come round full circle. That's like, wow. So I've actually got some talk in football. That's when I actually realised I've actually got some talk in football. Because it was like, nothing before then was just kind of going my way.
Yeah.
Arsenal win.
I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still learning.
I am still. I'm not gonna lie. But it was just like, wait, where did that actually come from? And all of a sudden it happened, and I was like, okay, fair enough. I'm gonna just continue with that. Trust me, I'm not gonna be doing presenting anytime soon.
You never know. That's what I said. So you never know.
One WhatsApp
But
message later.
I think because obviously it's like you've got such a crazy story. There's like so much that's gone on.
Yeah.
And I think that like so hold on. So let's go back to
the racism. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. Like, my story just twines.
Yeah, no, but it's good. It's good.
So the situation that night was the guys decided to start playing music at 2 a.m. I've gone to bed. Again, I'm living on my own. I'm just trying to get to sleep, and I don't really care about everything else. I'm gonna try to knock the ceiling, or my ceiling, his floor.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. He's not hearing me. All of a sudden, he's decided to come down and try and start madness. So I've decided, no, that's not happening, and I've gone and followed him up. And I didn't expect myself to do so. I'm just thinking, just turn down the music. I haven't got no problems with you playing the music. I just don't
take down a bit.
Yeah. So he's gone and called the police, saying that I'm threatening him with a 2x4. With a plank of wood. The plank of wood is actually sitting on top of the one place that we've got to put our rubbish away. I was like, alright, fair enough. Next thing you know, about a week and a half later, 2 weeks later, I think I've already spoken to the housing association, and their response was, your housing officer has gone on holiday.
Yeah.
So we won't be able to deal with it until after Christmas.
Right, okay. We don't have cover in this housing association. People don't cover each other's shifts when they go and leave.
Yeah.
I understand. This stuff gets on my nerves.
He also mentioned this with the manager as well. They'll take it up with the manager, so I didn't even try to give him the crowd reference number.
Nothing.
And 2 2 weeks later, I think it was the night after Christmas. I think it was, so it must have been Boxing Day. He decides to throw at 5 a.m. I'm sleeping, managed to sleep, blah blah blah. 5 a.m. he's gone and thrown the rubbish at my door. So he's actually left his house, and in between all of this, he's actually called me the N-word. He's actually used gorilla noises. He's actually said that I need to eat bananas. He's done the whole lot. He stamps on the ceiling, and I've tried to record it. Everyone's saying just record it, but you're not going to record something that's gone through a ceiling.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. So I've tried. He's called everything out. He's called me under all names. Why is he doing this? I haven't actually gone to see him within those 2 weeks. He's just called me out. Then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, he's gone and woken up at a random time, picked up an entire bin. You know the plastic bins that you get outside the houses, and just thrown it out my door.
Emptied it out.
It's been emptied out in front of my door.
See, this is my problem, yeah? This is what my problem is that you see when these things happen to you, it's like, if you react mad,
You're the wrong.
you're the wrong one. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, if somebody leaves empties out their doorstep, their rubbish bin on my doorstep after being called all of these names, if I go to punch you in your face now, I'm the problem.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, are you like, is everyone crazy? But you get what I'm trying to say? Now I'm the problem for reacting. But at what point is it enough is enough then? At what point am I justified to punch you in your face? That's what I want to know.
This is the thing. I was fully justified in my reaction, but for the way that I took it, it probably wasn't. So I see where you're going with it. And the problem where I took it was I called the police, and they came and said that it's just domestic violence. We can't really do anything about it.
You're a better person than me, because I'd be getting arrested for GBH, I think, on the day.
Here's the thing, they told him to leave.
Okay.
They physically told him to walk away.
I think that's it. It's so difficult now. Sorry to cut it, because you both said it. It's literally, it does, like, things happen and things get flipped very quickly. As in, what did you do? And that's the first thing that you get asked.
Yeah.
Or you're not the first one to be spoken to. You could be the one that's called the police, and I've seen it.
Yeah.
Where you're the one that calls the police, and the police go ask someone else what's happened first.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I've called you.
Well,
I'm the one that rang you. Yeah.
Before and then go ask.
Yeah.
I tried to read this book. Funny enough, I've just read a book not too long ago called Biased, and in that conversation in that book, it's very heavily centered on the perception of black people, and unfortunately, for me, it doesn't give a bigger picture. It just gives a one-sided picture of a situation that's happened.
Yeah.
And the scientist, very very good book by the way. She mentions that not just white people, but also, and I don't mean that in a racial way.
Yeah.
But Asians also have the same negative stereotypes towards us. So she done a few. What was it? She done a few.
Like case studies.
Sort of.
Yeah.
So she done case studies, and it was like a screen of people that you would look at, and just put them as questions.
Did we speak about this, or am I having deja vu? Did we speak about this? Yeah, where you have like loads of different types of people,
just pictures,
and someone will say there was a murder. Who do you think did it?
Yes.
And see how many people divert to the white person, black person, Asian person. Yeah.
And it's the same thing with. Funny enough, she went as far as to say, just put the nose in. So she just put a nose or a chin. That was it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they went, that's a white person. Then all of a sudden, that nose or a chin is of a black person. All of a sudden, the feeling
changes.
The feeling went from it's okay to hang on, and that was like that's the issue. So it was one of those sort of nights. So basically, I reacted in the worst way possible. So again, red flag to a bull, and it happened literally a year apart, 12 months apart. You're thinking nobody's ever going to help me. The second year that has happened, all of a sudden I've tried to calm down. I didn't know that he had left, and I've just gone and walked up to his door, and the police have waited around, waiting to see what I would do. And they waited around just to see what I'd do, and I've gone upstairs and unfortunately had a knife with me. But I wasn't actually going to use it on it. I was just going to go, just leave me alone.
Okay, so you've got racial incidents happening within 12 months of each other. Between your level 2 and UEFA B, there's
5 years.
Yeah, there was 5 years between that, and as you mentioned, you were managing your mental health during that time.
Yep.
Obviously, you mentioned about relationships breaking down. There's also positives in those years because it sounds like you managed to secure some good roles in QPR, Fulham, Brentford. You mentioned as well, Arsenal. Obviously, you've mentioned all of the games that you've been to and experiences you've had. So it's kind of like bittersweet almost that you've had.
Like I said, football saved my life. It's been my saviour. So when people go to church, my church
is the pitch. Yeah. Oh, my church is the pitch. If I change my Twitter profile tomorrow,
you can't do that now. That's Jaymie.
You've got to trademark that one. That one is special. My church is the pitch. That is big stuff. We might have to name the pod that.
That's big.
Yeah, it's written it down as a note.
It's trademarked already.
So
It's got to be football saved my life.
it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. So let's get back onto your UEFA B. You managed to complete.
I haven't been able to complete it.
How far did you get?
I did the whole course and everything.
Okay.
And to me, there's a lot of great areas in terms of coaching around that, and significantly is whenever I've had the chance just to work with a team, I haven't been able to step up, and that's been on me. That's not been on the players. Again, I've been working women's football for so long to know it isn't the players. It's just me.
So just touching on that. So did you do the new style beat then? The kind of the current one?
Yes.
Before obviously
So I was on one of the very first new ones.
Yeah. So that's what I had done. So this is where I'm gonna, because it's quite interesting. He's mentioned it. Because I'd say there were similar things that you feel like maybe as an individual you haven't stepped up to the plate. But let's flip it, because the new style B to me, what I got from that was coach your way, and if you justify it, you're right.
Yeah, I agree.
So, did you coach your way? Did you justify it? There's no argument to that. You can't be from that point what the assessor says, actually that's wrong. It's if you do your way, and you've justified it your way, then it's right. Because I was on that as well. It's weird because that course only come out for a short time, and then the FA just taking it back now. So, it's like, did it work?
So,
when you say you didn't step up, like what?
So, funny enough, 3 things happened in that year.
Okay.
Through 2017, 3 things happened. The first one was Grenfell.
Okay. Yeah.
The second one was I started the course, the UEFA B coaching course, and the very first thing was I'd done the youth module 3.
Yeah.
So I knew Anthony Ferguson way too well. To know what he was looking for.
Yeah.
And I also got my license, my driving license in that year.
Okay.
I had a lot of things going
That's
on.
probably sorted you out on the driving license.
For the travel. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it did.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
There's a lot of journeys where I'm like, ooh, I would not have done this if I had the car.
Yeah, 100%. This is probably one of them.
Yes. For where it took me,
Yeah, exactly.
Massively.
And the third?
Just those 4 things.
Okay.
So I started my driving license, done the UEFA B, done the youth module 3, and obviously again Grenfell.
And the Grenfell happened, yeah.
When I was doing the youth module 3, I was looking at the sessions and I weren't really paying attention to them. Then again, I started doing my license at the time, and then all of a sudden, Grenfell happened, and I said to myself, I have to pass for them, not for me.
Yeah, man. Oh, my heart. I'm just gonna just melt into the chair now. I can't.
It's big. So, would you say the youth module 3 and the UEFA B contradicted slightly?
No.
No? They
No,
aligned?
to me, no, for what they're now meshing them together.
Oh yeah, now I'm saying
yeah.
when you've done when you're doing it, yeah.
Yes.
Because I had people on my B who had done I hadn't done my youth module because I was on a new style where it actually was
merged
you
into
passed
one.
it, you passed
Yeah.
that as well. But I had people that was in your same predicament where they was almost finished their youth module 3 but jumped on the UEFA B. So they got told not to finish their youth module 3 and it'll be integrated into their B. And instead of doing an 18-game project, they can do a 12-game project.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay,
it changed up a
okay.
little bit. So the problem with the 18-game project. Oh, funny enough, I had about 26 games in that season.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
the 16 team. I also played in the snow. I
Yeah.
also coached a game in the snow with them against a team from South Texas. That season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But they said that you'd only have to do the 18-game project if you passed your youth module 3.
Right.
So 12-game project if you passed your youth module 3.
Oh.
If you didn't, then you'd still have to do the
18 game.
So it threw me off a little bit. Luckily, I had 26 games in that season.
Yeah.
But it was always a case of, oh, well, am I going to pass the youth module 3? Am I ever going to get somebody to come down? Nobody ever came down just to even say, well, we're going to do the youth module 3. It just was all over the place.
So you still got to finish the 3 as well?
The 3
And the B.
And the B. And
How did you do? Is this UEFA being 3 blocks?
yeah.
No.
Yes. Four blocks.
It's 4 blocks.
Yeah.
It was four blocks back then.
So did you manage to get all 4 blocks?
Yeah, I did all four blocks.
Okay. So what's the final piece? Have you got to get?
Presentation, basically.
Right. Okay.
So
Have you done your presentation?
Did the presentation,
Yeah.
look back on it now and I'm going, wow, what the hell did that?
So you just need your last in situ for them to tick
So
the box.
The funny thing is, I've had 2 in situs, and I just again, this is what I'm talking about. I've never really actually had a team long enough
to do it.
to actually
Oh,
go,
right,
yeah,
okay.
do this.
Okay.
And where I've taken my coaching now, I would say happily I should have done what I did with my level 2, which is I'm not ready. Can you come back in a few months? But I didn't.
Fair.
I didn't, and I just kept on going. You know what? I need to pass.
Yeah.
And I was looking for opportunities after opportunities because I left the team thinking that this is. I've taken them as far as I can, and I've only been with them for 2 years. I've taken them as far as I can, and I can't really go any further.
Yeah.
And a big opportunity with Watford at the time, Watford FC,
Mm-hmm.
came through, and I just took that on the night. So where they're saying, oh, you need a 11-a-side or a 9-a-side, I thought, well, this should be easy. I should be able to find an opportunity to get to just work with the under 12s, under 13s for a period of time, and then that'll be it.
Do you have a preference, by the way, in that age group?
No.
So you don't prefer coaching younger than coaching older? Okay.
We're all people here.
Yeah.
I can coach you, you can coach me.
Yeah. Do you have a preference?
I do. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So do I.
I've got older. I think 12 or upwards is my preference.
Yeah.
And some will say that's because you're not a good coach. You should be able to coach everyone. I just think the way I deliver my information, I try to give. Sometimes I don't make it easier.
Yeah.
Maybe I could make it better, but just my preference. I like to be able to see that. I like to start developing players to be able to go into RTCs, go into academies, go into that. I think when they're under that kind of 12, even I could maybe even go under kind of 14. I just want them to play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because the principles are different.
Too much. I want to work on the little technical stuff.
Yeah.
Not too much tactical. A little bit, but I just want them to get out there, get a ball at their feet, and.
Well, this is the thing. This is why I was lucky enough just to find Watford.
And all of these jobs, they're all females, all female.
Now, after the situation again, I just decided I'm better off. I went to an adult male team. I just couldn't stand the egos.
Well, we spoke about male ego last week, so yeah. Did you hear that? I can't stand the ego. Did you hear that?
I just couldn't stand the egos. I had a game, funny enough, at AFC Wimbledon's pitch.
Yeah.
And it was a semi-final. I think we won it in extra time, 5-4, to get to the final. All we had to do was play at the bank. I can't remember the name of the pitch, but it's at Roehampton's main pitch. And we played the final, and we lost 2-0. And I think it was to a team of army players. And we just weren't there on the day, and we had a player sent off, apparently for diving. So he got fouled. You could see that there was a massive foul, but the referee went, no, it's a dive. And I was like, all right, fair enough. Hence the reason why I brought up the whole tackle earlier. No, it's a yellow card. It's fine. It's a yellow card all day. So yeah, my journey took me away from men's football and boys football just simply because I was looking at it going, guys know what you have to do, but you're choosing just to be awkward about it. So if you want to choose to be awkward about it, guess what? I'm just gonna leave. It's better for me. I probably didn't start off the way that I should have, but as far as I'm concerned, you guys are just gonna moan. I haven't got time for you. I haven't got time for your
Now that you're not dealing with male ego, let's say, because obviously this is what we did speak about last week, is that do you now, as a man, how do you find managing females' emotions? Because that, like last week we spoke about the fact that I was saying that I don't think that women can truly understand male ego, but men may struggle to understand how women's emotions work. So do you think that, obviously you can clearly see that male ego is difficult to deal with. How do you find managing females' emotions? Just talking.
I can't. The thing is if I was talking to you, we had the conversation on the phone for 2 hours.
Yeah.
If you felt at any point that this conversation weren't going the way that you wanted to, you could have just said, you know what, I'm done. And that's you having a feeling.
Yes.
A feeling of this guy again.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between a male ego and a feeling from a woman, from what I've noticed. Especially for a young female as well. A young female at 11 years old probably might not know what their feeling is, but they ain't afraid to express it.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
To express it with their face. So I've had to kind of go, you know what? I'm going to step up. I'm just going to do a little bit more. But the thing that people say to me a lot, that I seem assertive and I know what I want, I'm like, I'm a guy. How am I meant to know what I want?
Yeah.
The man flu, isn't it?
Exactly. I look at this is the reason why I say I can coach any age group, because technically, as you've noticed with the challenge, I'm happy to do a skill from out of nowhere. But at the same time, I'll look at that and go, I probably can teach that same skill to the kid. The same age group that I can probably teach to another under 10. I could probably teach that to another 18.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'll say, well, if you can do that, and I understand people have their preferences. For me, my preference is, can I coach you at a technical level to be good enough mentally to do whatever I need you to do on the pitch?
Yeah.
If I can't teach you that, we probably have a disconnect somewhere.
So weird when you say that, because I'd done scouting for Brentford when I was younger, and they got me in to do a little bit of coaching, and it was under 10s. I mean, I knew from that age that I kind of preferred older kids anyway. But it was Ozzy Avanju, who's the head of youth. I was like, if you ask me to deliver this session, I'm going to have to deliver this session.
Yeah, of course.
But luckily it was their academy, so kids were very switched on. And I managed to deliver the session and get through all the information I would usually do with older kids. And that wowed me. So maybe kids that are a little bit more
switched on, I guess. Yeah, that's true.
I can deliver that information, but I remember afterwards he said to me, "Oh, you should coach." But I was scouting, and he's like, "But you can only do one. You can scout or you can coach." And the scouting team got me in, so I chose scouting. And probably the biggest mistake that I kind of went with.
No regrets.
So all them coaches that were coaching there are now doing very, very well. Very, very well. You got Stuart English, who's gone to Sunderland now from Birmingham City.
Well, I mean, everything happens for a reason at the end of the day, so you don't know. You might just get the big call up.
You can wish one.
To be fair, massive respect for choosing scouting, because everybody says, "Oh, anyone can be a coach." All right, so how easy is it to be a scout?
It's not that easy. Trust me.
Because the thing is, everybody will go, "Well, you've got to look for what the club is looking for." So what happens when the manager of the club changes? Then all of a sudden you've got to change that.
100%.
That's the thing that most people don't actually recognise, especially in levels 2 to 4. If we're talking about Premier League and up, and I'm saying Premier League, then Champions League, then Europa League, then Champions League, you know exactly what you're looking for, because that's technically an international player. However, if you're looking at League 1, Championship and down, that manager will change within 6 weeks. That's the average time for a coach. Unfortunately. It's 6 weeks. So then, how is that going to help you as a scout look for what you need to look for the club?
But what's being asked of you is constantly changing.
And the thing is, the one thing that I noticed with QPR is, with Harry Redknapp at the time, it was just bringing a settled team to the club.
Yeah.
Because Mark Hughes has buried his bridges massively.
Yeah.
By bringing in Julio Cesar, Singwa, names that basically took away a lot of money from the club because you had to pay for them.
Yeah.
Again, same thing was I've just read about an article from Birmingham City where apparently they brought in Gianfranco Zola and Harry Redknapp and signed more than 15 players in 2 windows. Now all of a sudden you're going, well, you've got to integrate those 15
whole 15 players into the squad,
Sounds like
and
football
pay
manager.
them on
Literally.
and pay them on a salary that is deserving of their level.
Yeah.
And the problem was is that they couldn't do the two, and it ended up being in I think they ended up being in relegation zones.
Yeah.
To the point where they had to be saved by coaches like Gary Monk and Steve Clark. Now all of a sudden they come as a turnaround where in that time at the same time they almost lost their academy. The same academy that produced Jude Bellingham, Damari Gray and a couple of others was almost gone completely because they could not source and finance their first team.
Almost. But they reversed that.
But they had to. But the reason was that was out of media.
Yeah.
Media solutions.
The pressure.
Yeah, the pressure from the media, yeah.
And all the because literally when that come out, all the kids' parents and that went all over Twitter. It was like, my son's now got no club, and all I saw was bad professional
I saw a lot of
message these parents and say, yeah, we'll look at him. I know this kid.
And it's just out of fear of what happened. And apparently it all started when they were relegated after winning the League Cup against Arsenal. And it's just like, well, that happened to Wigan. So now you're seeing what happened to Bolton, now you're seeing what happened to Wigan, now you're seeing what happened to basically Lancashire as an FA. And it just really didn't help. And this is the thing I've always looked at as scouting as not a completely different conversation, but a conversation where you have to go, well, what is the manager looking for? Because if you look at Chelsea in that conversation with Chelsea at the moment, how many managers have they had in the past 5 years?
Yeah, Chelsea have got a revolving door for managers, basically.
For the men's side.
Yeah, for the men's side,
For the women's side, it's all set.
Oh,
The problem is, and she doesn't need to.
Nope.
She doesn't need to.
No, she doesn't.
People are saying, well, why don't you take the next step up? She was offered the England job at the same time as Casey Stoney, I think, before Phil Neville. She turned it down. Hence the reason why Phil Neville came in, and look at what happened with Phil Neville.
Yeah, he's gone.
Neville said,
I need to take Emma Hayes don't need to go nowhere. She don't need to go international. We spoke about this.
She's
same
sweet.
thing with Guardiola.
Happy.
She's
Same thing with
sweet.
Pep Guardiola. And
Yeah, he ain't going nowhere either. I don't think he should. Why should
he?
he?
Doesn't need to. Here's the funny thing about it. This is more of an opinion rather than a fact. When Pep Guardiola was in charge of Barcelona, how successful was Spain?
Well, Barcelona was flying, and Spain were just.
How successful was Spain? Not Barcelona.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
Okay.
successful.
So the moment he went to Germany, how successful was Germany?
Yeah, it's like the whole country.
Now, all of a
Yeah.
sudden, what's happened to England?
They've got
Yeah.
more attacking.
Still pony.
Yeah. The thing is, I think what Pep does, you're right, is I think, because I thought that the year that Pep won the Prem, the first year that he'd done that, was, I feel like he'd rocked the whole Prem, basically. Is that like his style of play had shaken up everyone.
I knew he would.
Yeah, I know, but it's like almost as though nobody saw it coming. Like nobody knew that he was gonna come and just rock everyone's world, basically. And his style of play shocked the whole Prem. And I think that then Klopp came and did something similar. Is that his way of pressing shocked everyone, basically, and thought, we don't know how to handle this, guys. And that's what I think happened.
He was the anti-football, and this is the thing, and it even goes to as far as if you look at the success of Portugal at the 2016 Euros, how many Portuguese managers have now come up through the ranks and Portuguese players? So it does have a revolving door. And a knock-on effect. This is what I'm saying with Pep Guardiola. All the Spanish players came to the Premier League at the same time as a lot of Spanish coaches coming out to the Premier League. Same thing with Germany. Now all of a sudden we've got 3 or 4 German managers where there wasn't even one years ago. Well, it was just one and that was it.
That was it, yeah. I think, to like, you mentioned earlier, just briefly, about the challenges that we
Yes.
did.
Yeah.
Apologies.
So
this has gone around.
yeah, no, it's fine. It means we got a lot of content. Let's talk about the challenges. Let's talk about challenges. So loser of today with the least points.
Well, I don't know. It's not
Who was
tallied.
the loser? Was it you, Baily? Was
Oh,
it
what?
you? You're the loser
Oh, really?
of today. Yeah,
Okay.
no points,
Listen,
no shots on target.
Someone's
no
got
crossbar,
to lose each week,
no
and
nothing.
I've got to make Carl look good at least once.
So I mean, who's
it was
there?
a first time volley.
I believe that. Did you win? You might have won.
No.
Yeah, I think you might have,
No.
But he's the only one.
It's
But
tight.
still,
No.
VAR is.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, we
VAR.
still
I
got
think
to
it
get
was-
through the
I think
replays.
Between you two.
VAR.
Well, I
between
don't
you two.
think. Did I get any on target? I don't think I did.
You hit
But I
one
think I hit
on
the
the
crossbar. I hit one on the crossbar, but I don't think I got
that's
any
where
in.
the conversation's gonna go because then.
Oh, whether he hit it or whether it was the post.
Whether you actually followed the rules.
Oh yeah, because you didn't.
I-
True, he didn't bring in the crossbar rule when I done it.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah,
So-
but I'm honest. Look at honesty.
Hey, listen,
Yeah?
I can edit in that. And
I can admit.
No different.
Yes. See.
No,
So I can admit it.
See what I'm saying? See how silent I am? You see how silent I am?
Yeah, but you was loud last week. You get last
was loud
week.
today
You
as
was
well.
loud.
I'm silent. I'm
Do you know
He
what I
silent.
was
mean?
loud today. He was loud today.
Can
He was
I-
saying.
Can I just openly say, I know it's going to be very echoey for me, but if we didn't have nets out there, the balls I'd kicked would have been.
But we did. But we
we're in
did.
South England, it'd be up
Would have
north
been
by
well.
now.
But we did. But we
I'm
did.
still going. I'm still waiting for it to come down.
What I want to say, yeah, as Carl said, he'd be happy to have me as a defender, so.
He did say that. Yep.
True. Yeah, we
But,
won't edit that bit out.
the challenges they were interesting. I was thinking about it today, and I thought, well, I've got the rebounder, might as well try it. See
Yeah,
what
Jamie
happens.
came
I'll
with
see.
equipment,
You know that, I was worried.
so for guests going forward, he might have
Set
set
the
the
bar
standards. That he's bringing
You
equipment.
know, the DMs are going to say, have you got equipment? No, we don't.
So, but
Just
yeah.
do it on Zoom. Just do it on Zoom.
Look how long we've been talking about this Zoom stuff. I can't.
You know
I
what? It was big. It was big.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
It was a good challenge.
Definitely. I think to wrap up, I mean you've had a journey and a half, and I think if there's anything that I would want to say and end on is that I think it's brave and commendable that you've come out and spoken about the story, and considering we spent 2 hours on the phone, all of this stuff that's come out didn't get discussed on the phone.
No.
So it's crazy to hear the story. I think also the character and the energy you came in with today is so bubbly and positive. I would never know that this story was behind you, ever. I would never know. And I think that if anything that I personally would have taken from today, or if there's a message to put out, is that you've done your level 1, you've done your level 2, you've nearly completed your UEFA-B, you've had opportunities and you've worked at all of these different clubs, and with what you've had to go through aside, so the issues you've had with your mental health and all of the stuff that you said today, and the racism and stuff you've had to endure, there's no excuse, in my opinion. If you don't have to face a lot of the challenges that you've had to, and you don't go ahead and complete the things that you want to complete, I feel like you've sold yourself short in comparison to what you've had to go through. And honestly, I think to come out of the other side, or even to keep managing and to keep going, and you're still probably going to have down days. You're still probably going to have days where it's difficult. And I think that for you to be able to say, but you know what, I've gone through all of this, and I can still say I've done this, I've done that, I've done this. I think you have to really celebrate the small wins. And you probably, this is for me, this can't be the end of the journey. I need to see a license. Jaymie is here one day, and you've done this and you've done that. You would have my full support, our full support. I think the story, you need to write a book.
Trust me.
Honestly, yeah, and because I guarantee you, if somebody watches this pod and you've inspired one person, job done.
Yeah.
Job done.
I can only echo what you said there, and it's massive. And I thank you for coming on and speaking. We didn't know you was going to speak about it. There's no. We was here just to chat, literally talk about your football journey. The fact you've gone into other things, do you know what, I love it. And the fact you felt comfortable to do so, I can only thank you. That's all I can do. It's like you said, commendable. It's big. It's made me reflect on my my journey and things to do with mental health as well. And I've got nothing but respect. Nothing but respect.
Yeah, I think you probably don't even realise how mentally strong you are.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of, no, you probably don't, because there's a lot of people along the way that would have given up by now.
Yeah.
So I think that if you still wake up and you're still going, then you're still winning.
Why don't I smoke weed? Because I was going to be that
Good
guy.
shout. Good
Your
shout.
coaching journey is 100% just begun. It's nowhere near finished. I'll say this to everyone. Once you get that B license, it's not done. You'll hopefully one day get onto your A. Timescales is nothing. I know people that's taken 10, 20 years after their B to get onto their A. So don't even think about I need to
a
do
time
it.
limit. Yeah,
time limit of it. It will happen, and I can only mimic, echo exactly what you said. If one person
just one
listen, just one, and take something away, and it helps one person, you know what? That's the platform.
Yeah,
That's
this
the
is it.
platform.
Before we finish, and you know what, there's two things that I want to say. First of all, just want to give a big shout out to Pitch Talk. My friends Liam Angel, LJA, if you find him on Twitter. Podbean, podcasts, everything's Hootsuite, everything. I'm across the social platforms. Again, G-Man, Jazzy Fizzle as well, and Nathan Arsenal. We're all across, and we just have conversations about segments. And we just we were talking about the female game last week, and again we talk about other stuff that comes around football. Again, you'll find 5 minutes with the G-Man, you'll find LJ with his special features segments. Look for Pitch Talk. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's good. We like to learn from other pods, so I think it's important. Yeah.
I'm going to throw it back to you guys. And I'll say the fact that you've given your time up during a pandemic, number one, and number two, outside of the pandemic, you've given your time up just to give people a platform. Is to me is the true inspiration. My story is just part of a story. Yours is the story that I would say, you know what, that's even bigger than what I could ever do. And I think you guys are the inspiration, all three of you.
No, we appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Do you
want to come and do a speech at my wedding?
You know, he just said it there, and it just when he said, it just made me go, you got me shivers.
Yeah,
he's had words and sayings, little sayings, left, right, and centre. His whole pod.
Honestly, I think like Jaymie for PM.
You know that, you know.
Yeah,
you probably need to give him.
But yeah, I think we're just grateful for having you on at this point. Yeah, it's been a fantastic Past the Pod episode. One to remember, definitely. So I think, thank you for coming on.
Definitely.
And
sorry
I think.
Remove the hat. It's the hair.
No, it's fine. I think. You know what I mean?
He's promoting something. I'm not going to.
So yeah.
Good hair. I'm promoting good hair.
Good hair. This is it. Yeah. So I think that's a wrap. Yeah.
Challenge. See if you can do a volley using the rebounder. The idea is this. Somebody will throw the ball onto the rebounder. There will be a third person who will try and do a volley. One touch. One touch. There you go.
I ain't got my boots. Just saying.
Excuses for days. What a technique is this?
I want to just say.
Shut up! It's the score.
The idea is to score, to not hit crossbar, just so we all are aware.
Not bad. You take 1 out of 3 though.
Crossbar for the win.
Let me throw the ball. complain? When did I complain? When did I complain? Listen, we're seeing these fails, by the way. We are seeing these fails. And there's a reason for this. Teamwork. I've never seen worse teamwork. There's 4 of us.
That clearance. He's a good centre back, though. I am a defender. Why is that the first week that I've not done with that challenge?
There we go. Not bad, not bad.
Do you know what? He's a centre back you want on the team. He's a centre back you want on the team.
In order for the bonus point, you've literally got to try and hit it with the inside of his foot onto the crossbar.
Cole Davey is going to try this about 3 or 4 touches.
Let's see if the teamwork starts kicking in now. Yeah.
My head was flying.
VAR.
VAR again?
VAR.
Yeah, we need 2 replays. We need 2 replays, please. On today's You Don't Know the Drill, and that's a wrap.